Mark, what do we know about the biggest differences now between the high-end and now a lower-end iPhone?
Yeah, so Apple's continuing their strategy of retaining older iPhone designs and bringing the cost down over time. So like you said, they're going to be using a design from the iPhone 8 from 2017, which originated, a few years prior to that in 2014 with the iPhone 6. Now they're going to bring the cost down to about $400, but they're going to put some new technologies like some of the cameras and processors from more recent years. So what basically you're going to get is you're going to get an older iPhone that is faster than before. It's going to work longer. But I don't really think that it's going to do exactly what Apple thinks it's going to do. I don't think this is going to be sort of their savior in the emerging markets. I think you're going to need a sort of an iPhone 10 type design, much cheaper than the current model in order to do that.
Right. Who would buy it?
Yeah, I think it's people who have older iPhones, maybe something like the iPhone 3GS from about 11 years ago now that is still somehow working, to an iPhone 6 or 7 or 8 that doesn't want to shell out $600 to $1,000 for an iPhone 11 to an iPhone 11 Pro Max. They want something that is basically going to just allow their current version to keep working, right? So if you have an iPhone 8 today, you don't want to pay more than $400. You can get, a new iPhone 8 with a faster processor, the new software, and tons of new features that they've added over the past few years for that much lower price. So I think it's going to be a really hot seller, particularly in the US, some of the more affluent parts of Europe and China, but not some of those developing markets in Eastern Europe and in India.
Well, one of the biggest risks is it starts to cannibalize sales of the higher end. So instead of going higher end, I buy this cheaper end model. Do you see that also as a risk?
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance of that happening. I mean, history has shown us that the iPhone users are going to tend to go to those higher end models regardless. Part of the reason why they're using that iPhone 8 design is in order to make them cheaper to manufacture. Obviously, as you know, the longer you produce a certain design or a certain technology, the better and cheaper it's going to get. This is a tried and true design that they've been using since 2014. It's going to be extremely low cost for them to build these things. So I think that a risk of cannibalization is extremely low.
But if we're waiting for 5G phones to come out in September, why come out with this now?
The people that are going to be buying this phone don't care about 5G. 5G is still in its infancy, and it's going to remain in its infancy at least for the next 2 or 3 years or so, particularly in the US. I know it's hotter so far in China, but for this particular phone, it's really not going to matter.